now. For more on their reaction is this evening's political panel. Lester Munson is with us, co-head of the international practice at BGR Group and Republican strategist, alongside Democratic strategist Jim Kessler, executive vice president for policy at Third Way. Welcome to you both. Lester, I do wonder, to get back to Joe's question, what you make of the messaging we're getting today versus the messaging we're getting before. Do you really believe that the president never had any intention, or at least hadn't thought about firing the Fed chair?
Oh, it sure seems like he thought about it, and it seems like today he thinks it's a bad idea. We'll see what he's thinking about it tomorrow, and maybe the next day. I think he's very flexible, and he's willing to kind of adapt to circumstances, and I think that's what we're seeing. And in a way, maybe that's a good thing.
What do you think here, Jim Kessler? Was it the White House watching the market reaction, or maybe coming to terms with the fact that the president does not have the authority to fire the chair of the Fed?
I think he was spooked. He was spooked by the market, and, you know, Liberation Day, April 2nd, he was spooked by the reaction then, and April 9th, you know, he pulled back. He did the 90-day pause. So, I mean, look, let's be honest here. We've seen the president move quite a bit because of reaction either from business or the markets, and I think foreign leaders are noticing too. I expect he'll get a lot of trade deals, but I don't expect they're going to be like these great trade deals for America the way he promised. I just think they know when the markets are reacting badly, he moves.
Well, and then it becomes a question of if the economy starts reacting badly. Markets and the economy, Lester, as we know, are not the same thing. There's a bit of a lagged effect there. But his suggestion yesterday that there could be a slowdown if Powell doesn't act now, kind of an admission that there actually could be some deterioration in the economy, arguably, as a result of the policies of this administration with policy this tight. And I wonder how you think that factors into the way in which the White House, or the president specifically, is messaging around monetary policy.
Well, I think it has everything to do with it. He's highly mindful of his domestic policy agenda, which includes getting the Budget Reconciliation Act through Congress, which are his big tax cuts. He needs to keep things stable and on track for the next couple months. He needs to keep the Freedom Caucus in line. He needs to have a certain level of popularity. I do think he is focused on getting his agenda done, particularly this year. And so he's going to be willing to move around on some of these issues, whether it's tariffs or Powell or other things, if it's necessary to do that. I think maybe we should all just hope Peter Navarro goes on vacation for a couple of weeks, and that'll give him even more flexibility.
I think there might be some other folks happy about that in the White House, as we hear Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick had to buttonhole the president while Peter Navarro was in a meeting, which may have brought us to this point now. How much time does the White House have, and is it just a 90-day review period before we need to start seeing some deals here for the market to take this seriously?
I think this administration has given itself a lot of flexibility. Say what you want about the wisdom of the tariffs. It doesn't seem like it was a good idea. The markets reacted quickly. But the president has a ton of flexibility here. He can declare a deal without even really picking up the phone with China. Okay. You can just have an arrangement that we're just going to focus on maybe some of these security sectors where there's dual use items or technology that can be used for military purposes. I think people understand tariffs on those items, and that makes some sense. These other areas of consumer goods and other things that aren't as critical, let's go ahead and open it up. That seems like the logical thing to do. I think they're going to get there sooner rather than later.
On the subject of tariffs, Elon Musk is currently addressing tariffs on Tesla's earnings call after telling those on the call that he'll be pulling back significantly from his duties with the Department of Government Efficiency in May, that he'll be allocating far more of his time to Tesla, which seems to be something of music to investors' ears if you look at the after-hours trade of the stock. He also says that he'll continue to advocate for lower tariffs, though tariff decisions are entirely up to the president. And Jim, as much as we talk about the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent or Howard Lutnick, some of the actual cabinet secretary voices that are in Trump's ear on these economic policies, to what extent are the more business-minded individuals like Elon Musk influential as well?
I think for every 50 calls that Donald Trump gets on tariffs, one of them is in favor and 49 are opposed. And those calls are coming from members of Congress, they're coming from business leaders, and they're coming from close political friends like Elon Musk. And I do expect that you're going to see pullback on the tariffs and deals that he's going to be cutting with other nations. He will make them seem like they are major deals. They're probably going to be minor deals because he's in a weakened position now. He's moved several times, and the economy looks very soft, and nobody wants a recession in their first 4 months of the presidency. So I expect, we'll call it flexibility. I think I think he's been bullied into moving.
Well, we know for a fact that Elon Musk made a direct ask, tried to intervene on the reciprocal tariffs, the auto tariffs. Lester, what happens if that scenario that Jim Kessler just mapped out is the case? We get a couple of deals, but nothing really moves the needle here. We kind of walk away from the tariffs. Does Peter Navarro still have a role in this administration?
Well, I think the president likes to keep him around. He is useful politically. And I think it's probably more than 1 out of 50 calls. I think there were a lot of unions that are a key constituency for President Trump that were very much in favor of a lot of the tariffs that he announced recently. So this is a part of. There's a direct relationship for kind of the new Republican Party that Donald Trump has put together, more working class, more blue collar, more union oriented. They did appreciate this stuff. Peter Navarro is going to have a full-time job, I think, for the rest of the administration as long as he wants it. I just hope he gets a lot of vacation time.
He did go to prison for the president, arguably, after
couple
all.
months of that.
As we consider the kind of prospects here, Jim, of reaching some kind of agreement, whether it's in the 90-day window or otherwise, is it so much that it matters where we are in July at the end of those 90 days or where we are in terms of tariff levels and where the economy is as a result come November of 2026 when we're considering the midterm elections? Is that the first real tell, if you will, that we'll get around these policies and how they play with the electorate?
There's usually a point in every presidency, new presidency, where his allies in Congress start to drift away from him, and it usually happens the first August recess. So if we're seeing a softening economy this summer, when members of Congress come back from August recess in September, and they are fearful of their constituents, you will see a pulling away from Donald Trump and, a lot more chances for maybe bipartisan negotiations after that. But his hold over the Republican caucus in the House and the Senate will diminish because they are fearing their jobs and a bloodbath November 2026.
Well, that's saying something. We haven't seen too many town halls here, Jim. What have lawmakers learned in their time at home?
Well, it's hostile for them, for Republican members. Like, Byron Donalds just had a town hall or a campaign event. Like, it just went very, very poorly in Florida. And it's happening with all Republicans. Like, what they're doing is not popular. Look, every administration overreaches when they start out. This one is overreached more than any I've ever seen, and there's a backlash that's going on. Normal people are upset, not just the activists.
I also wonder, as we consider the upset of people, we've heard a lot of people being upset, including at that town hall with Byron Donalds, about the Department of Government Efficiency specifically. And Elon Musk has been able to be the punching bag for a lot of that, Lester. But Elon Musk just told Tesla investors coming up in May, he's going to be spending a whole lot less time on that, focusing back on Tesla. Does President Trump need another punching bag to show up?
And I'm sure there are plenty of billionaires who would volunteer for the job. I think the timing, it tracks, though. President Trump is interested in getting his budget reconciliation bill done. He's actually more worried about backlash from the right than from the middle because his spending plan is a moderate one. It is not a right-wing one. And the Freedom Caucus guys are the ones who are upset. He's going to keep Elon Musk around to catch some of the spears, but also to let the Freedom Caucus know that he is for cutting government spending through DOGE, even if some of that is a bit of a mirage. So this May timeframe that Musk is talking about, I think, tracks with a plan about a legislative plan to get budget reconciliation across the finish line.
It's also consistent with what we've heard from the administration here and the tenure that they expected would last through the end of May. Lester Munson and Jim Kessler, thank you so much, both of you, for a great conversation and a great panel. We want to